All right, Saturday down south. In other words, the Aggies are deeper and more prolific offensively than last year's group, which shot the ball poorly but was good enough in every other area to nearly upset one-seed Houston in the round of 32. Now, with more scoring help for Taylor across the board, a tenacious rebounding team that can negate the team's shooting flaws, and one of the SEC's best X's and O's coaches in Williams. That's the worst reading I've done. And the Aggies are a bona fide Final Four contender. So this writer from Saturday Down South says, I think it's Matt Norlander, thinks that this team is a Final Four contender. Do you think they're a Final Four contender?
I think they have the ability to be a Final Four contender. But I'm kind of with you. If you're going to, they're a second half team. Mm-hmm. It's hard to deny that.
And second half of the season,
usually they have a February surge.
Right.
Imagine if they have 16, 17, 18 wins before February and have a February surge.
Right.
Then they're definitely a Final Four contender because they're probably a top 3 seed. That said, I do kind of agree with the apprehension about how many times can you count on getting behind and making a miraculous rally, right? Now, start playing a more consistent game, be who you were against Purdue, which, by the way, they still had 18 turnovers against Purdue, but everything else, they were great. And, yeah, when they're playing their game, we just saw them beat a really good Ole Miss team on the road with Wade Taylor struggling.
Not playing their game completely.
Yeah, just play. But look, we get in March, you have to play your best.
Yep.
So if A&M's playing their best, I've said it before, with Wade Taylor and A&M playing their best, they're as good as anybody. Anybody.
Yep. Now, to me, it comes down to a couple things. And this is for every team in the tournament, but it comes down to matchups, right? And the other thing it comes down to is, here's where I'm going to be optimistic. This team at a neutral site venue, like, it's different than going to Ole Miss or going to Austin or going to wherever, right? Like, the NCAA tournament, you're going to go to probably Wichita or Denver or wherever it's going to be.
Denver, please.
Yeah,
not
Wichita.
Wichita.
I mean, just for us, right? But to me, that is, they at a neutral site, their brand of basketball goes well on the road, but sometimes it can be a raucous crowd and a team can play up to it. Neutral site plays, I like A&M's chances if I'm talking about getting to the Final Four. But to get to the Final Four, you've got to stop getting into double-digit deficits. Yeah. I do this for a living, right? So I give you my stream of conscious, but we're all having similar thoughts during the game.
Oh, 100%.
But A&M basketball of any other team on this campus or in this country is like one of those, wait for the finished product of the game.
Yeah.
Because things may not be clicking here. And look, there might be a game when they shoot like that where they're not able to come back, right? Yeah. That's where I think I worry, is like in a tournament setting. I start looking ahead as opposed to looking for the right now. The right now is, what are they, 4-2, in SEC play. And I think they're going to be favored in their next few games, right? So you have an opportunity to get, I mean, this team could, and I almost say should, win at least 12 games in conference play. 11.
I'm still at 10 to 11 is where I feel comfortable with this team, because even when A&M plays great, you can get beat in this league. That is the beauty of the SEC. Anybody can beat anybody. And when A&M plays poorly, they can get beat. When A&M plays poorly, they can beat teams. When A&M plays great, they can win and they can lose. Like, that's just the reality of the league. So I agree with you. You're almost kind of waiting for that game. Kentucky was a little bit of it, where you're waiting for them to make that run, but they just don't have the firepower to make that run. And you're absolutely right. When it's a one-game season and everything is riding on this one game, who knows if A&M, if it's sustainable game after game in March Madness to get down by 10 and have to fight your way back. It's just not, it's okay for right now. It is what it is in the SEC. Teams are going to force you out of your game, and A&M got back in their game against Ole Miss. But in a tournament setting, you have to worry about, is it sustainable to always have to be clawing back?
Well, this is where I have optimism and empathy at the same time, right? The empathy for the players that struggle. Wade's only a couple games back.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to take time for him, and we don't know how 100% he is, like what he is on the scale. Zurich was ill.
Yeah.
Right? So you got your two primary scorers not only having a bad night, but coming back from situations or in the middle of situations, right? Navigating through that. There's going to be a day, and it might be in Austin this weekend, where Wade I'm not talking about a 30-point Wade. I'm just saying a 16-point Wade, 6 assists, like a game that we're used to seeing. And Zurich, second leading scorer, and Pharrell double. Like, there's going to be that game.
Yeah.
I would say these things. Yeah, we've talked like experience, 2 scoring guards, and again, like they didn't shoot well the other night, and they still won.
Yep.
Because they defend and they rebound and they believe. And even though, like Manny has not shot well this year at all, and the other night he hit 2 threes, he hit a little fadeaway in the paint that was a nice shot. Like he was feeling it. Hopefully that keeps going, and he just started it earlier this year. Then they would look a lot more like a Final Four team to me, because that would be a lot of offense coming from Manny. He can get fouled at will. He can get to the rack, and if he's shooting good from the outside, he's usually shooting good from the free throw stripe. So they rebound, they defend, they believe. They've got 2 veteran scoring guards. They went from being snubbed from the tournament to taking a shocking first round loss, to blowing a team out in the first round that was supposed to be good, to almost knocking off a 1 seed, taking them to overtime. This team believes. They've come from behind several times this year. They've fought through, you guys were talking this morning, more negativity from you both. Bad first halves, Texas, OU, LSU, Ole Miss. They've won all 4 of them.
Yep.
I'd prefer the alternative, right? And yes, if you play bad first halves against good teams, you're not going to win. If you play bad first halves, you're putting yourself at risk for a loss you don't need to take in this competitive. I get all that. But the reality is, I just named 4 just right off the top of my head in conference, that all 4 conference wins, they've struggled in the first half. So I just think this team, with the experience it's got, they've been to what? In the last 3 SEC tournaments, in that neutral court atmosphere, neutral court against Kentucky, which was far from neutral, they've won. They've gone to the finals, semifinals. And then he mentioned Buzz. Like, Buzz knows how to get teams there. I initially just posted the addition and quickly was working to get that written up of what it really means, because it certainly would lend to confusion when you hire a sitting defensive coordinator at James Madison. Like Jay Bateman, he has a long history with Mike Elko.
Mm-hmm.
Elko, that was his first hire when he was D coordinator at Hofstra years ago. It was like 2002 or 3. Then hired him he was at Wake after Elko. He was the DC when Elko left for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elko hired him at Duke. And then he became the co-DC in his second year there, worked with Nichols and I believe safety. So his specialty is the back end of the defense. Okay? So he's not being brought in as the DC. Jay Bateman's title is not changing. But what I think, the way this is going to play, I don't think, this is it. Mike Elko said it after that USC game, and he was pretty emphatic. And he had, I said this, you can't go out there after that game in that moment of frustration. You either have to rein it in or you make a grandiose statement that basically, I'm paraphrasing, this is unacceptable. It's never going to happen again on my watch. And not necessarily that game, but just the way that season unfolded, the way they played, the way they covered. You can't say that and then not make significant changes. Well, everyone assumed a significant change was going to be changing D coordinator, because that's the most significant thing you could do. We had a lot of Twitter insiders on social media assuring us that was happening. We had some people in the regular media trying to say that was happening. I think Elko, I said this about a month ago, he was wrestling with the decision on which direction he wanted to go. And one of the options was to get more hands-on and to really day-to-day in-game run the defense. And I think that's what you're going to see.